Picture this: the late afternoon sun filtering through a Parisian cafe window, lighting up a woman who seems plucked from the golden age of Hollywood. Her eyes hold stories, her laughter still sparkles, and her presence commands the room without effort. That woman is Michelle Pfeiffer, and at 66, she looks so breathtaking, so impossibly radiant, that you'll pause the screen just to stare. You might think time would dull the glow of a movie icon whose name is synonymous with grace, strength, and electric charisma. Yet here she stands, as vibrant and magnetic as ever, challenging every expectation about beauty, aging, and reinvention. When Michelle first burst onto the screen, she captured hearts as the sweet, innocent ingenue in a breezy summer story. Yet within just a few years, she morphed into a fierce femme fatale, her name reverberating across continents. Today, as we stand on the edge of 30 glances, we'll journey through the defining moments that shaped her career, the trials she quietly endured, and the carefully guarded secrets behind her enduring allure. Get ready to uncover why Michelle at 66 is not just aging gracefully, but rewriting the rules altogether. Try not to gasp when you see how every chapter of her life has brought her closer to a timeless kind of beauty. Born in 1958 in Santa Ana, California, Michelle Marie Pfeiffer grew up in a tight-knit Irish-German family that fostered a love of music, dance, and theater. Even as a shy teenager, she could light up any room with a single glance. After graduating from Fountain Valley High School, she entered a local beauty pageant on a whim. She'd never imagined a modeling or acting career. But she won, then another pageant, then more. Suddenly, Michelle found herself flown to New York, signed to an agency, and told she might have a shot at Hollywood. Within 2 years, she was living in Los Angeles, auditioning for bit parts, scrubbing toilets to make rent, and clinging to the belief that something extraordinary was waiting just beyond the next callback. Her first credited role was in the ill-fated Grease 2, 1982, where she played the shy daughter of the school principal. It wasn't much, and critics dismissed it, but for Michelle, it was proof she belonged on screen. Then came the seismic shift. Brian De Palma cast her as Elvira Hancock, the cool, distant wife of Tony Montana in Scarface, 1983. Michelle arrived on set with barely any acting credits, yet her piercing blue eyes and poised elegance transformed a throwaway role into an instant classic. In a film bursting with violence and raw energy, Michelle's measured calm stood out, hinting at a depth of talent few suspected she possessed. Audiences gasped at the glamour she brought to the cocaine-soaked streets of 1980s Miami, the contrast of innocence and danger introducing her as a modern screen goddess. But it was her next choice that announced Michelle as a fearless actress willing to shatter the mold. In 1987's The Witches of Eastwick, she traded the understated cool of Elvira for the wicked charm of a woman who embraces her own power. Alongside Jack Nicholson and Cher, Michelle overflowed with mischievous allure, sultry scenes, wicked laughter, and a gleam of danger in every arch of her brow. Critics lauded her performance, fans clamored for more, and Hollywood finally recognized that this actress could command any role, from delicate ingenue to commanding temptress. Yet for all her success, Michelle never lost the girl-next-door quality that had enchanted directors in the first place. In Jonathan Demme's Something Wild, 1986, she played a free-spirited runaway opposite Jeff Daniels, alternating between playful spontaneity and haunting vulnerability, and winning her a Golden Globe nomination. And then came one of her most celebrated turns, Dangerous Liaisons, 1988. As the betrayed Madame de Tourvel, Michelle conveyed heartbreak and dignity in equal measure, her every tear echoing with suppressed longing. The critics called it a career-defining performance. Audiences felt as though they witnessed every pulse and tremor of a heart under siege. Despite her meteoric rise, Michelle always insisted on authenticity over fame. She once said, "I don't want people to remember me for my looks. I want them to remember me for how I made them feel." That mindset carried her through the whirlwind of the late 80s and early 90s, when photographers chased her in Dior gowns and tabloids speculated about her love life. In truth, Michelle guarded her off-screen identity fiercely. She dated folks like Matthew Broderick and origami folded her private moments into neat little secrets, revealing just enough charm to keep the world on its toes but never so much that her inner life felt exposed. BY 1992. With roles in Love Field and Frankie and Johnny, Michelle was Hollywood royalty, and she wielded that status carefully. Unlike many contemporaries, she didn't chase blockbuster franchises or celebrity stunts. Instead, she sought roles that moved her. The Woman Who Spies Ghosts in What Lies Beneath, 2000, and the determined matriarch in Hairspray, 2007, proved she could anchor any film, whether it was psychological thriller or lighthearted musical. Along the way, she married producer David E. Kelley, welcomed two beautiful children, and slipped gracefully into a quieter life, far from the frenzy of tabloids. Now, contrast that self-possessed star of yesteryear with Michelle Pfeiffer today, a woman who steps out in New York City, unguarded and at ease, wearing jeans and a scarf, her hair softly framing a face that still glows with intelligence and warmth. The once relentless pursuit of the next big role has given way to a passion for perfecting a creme brulee recipe or dreaming up a new flavor for the coffee shop she opened, the very famous cafe. At 66, Michelle seems to have found the sweet spot between ambition and contentment, her eyes crinkling at corners, cradling memories rather than worry lines. It's a transformation that invites you to rethink everything you've heard about aging in Hollywood. Michelle has spoken candidly about the small rituals that keep her feeling vibrant. A morning walk with her family dog, a handful of almonds infused with lavender, and a commitment to saying no whenever a project doesn't light a spark in her soul. I'm at an age now, she confides in interviews, where I only surround myself with work that brings me joy. That simple declaration carries echoes of the fearless young actress who once stunned the world, but now spoken with the calm certainty of someone who has known both soaring peaks and quiet valleys. As we trace Michelle's journey from shy pageant queen to ageless icon, one question lingers. How did she do it? How did she navigate the cutthroat currents of Hollywood without losing her center? The answer lies in contrasts. She mastered the art of being both public figure and private woman, commanding the spotlight, yet never surrendering her inner world. She chose depth over dazzle, sincerity over spectacle, and in doing so, she created a career and a life that feels like a masterclass in authenticity. And now, as you prepare to glimpse Michelle Pfeiffer at 66, ready to gasp in awe, remember this. Beneath that luminous surface beats a spirit that has weathered storms and emerged more brilliant. Her story is far from over. It's simply entering its most richly layered chapter. From the moment Michelle Pfeiffer decided to return to acting in the mid-2010s, critics and fans alike braced themselves for the inevitable collision of legend and ambition. She hadn't appeared on screen in a leading role for nearly a decade, yet when news broke that she would co-star in a gritty crime drama set in Marseille, anticipation soared. In interviews, Michelle spoke of her hunger to challenge herself, to step beyond the graceful matriarch or ethereal beauty she perfected over the years. She recalled working long days on location, learning rapid-fire French dialogue, and forging a fierce bond with her co-stars, veterans of European cinema who treated her not as an American star, but as a committed artist. The result? A performance so taut, so electrifying that reviewers wrestled to find words strong enough. Some declared it her finest work since Dangerous Liaisons. Others confessed to gasping in the dark as Michelle's character walked into a murder scene with nothing but steely resolve and a quietly burning grief. Suddenly, the world remembered. Here was an actress unafraid of depth, unfrightened by mortality, and far more than a relic of Hollywood's past. That resurgence led directly to her next project, a sweeping period piece about a late 19th century sculptor who shattered social norms by creating controversial statues of working-class women. Michelle threw herself into research, poring over dusty art journals and visiting galleries where the original pieces still stood. She trained with sculptors to learn the nuanced gestures of her character, and during filming, she even experimented in clay between takes. Observers noted the unusual sight of an A-list actor covered in dust, blazer sleeves rolled up, entirely immersed in a hands-on craft few movie stars attempt. The immersive process paid off. Audiences felt the weight of every strike of her chisel, the sweat on her brow, and the silent rebellion in every angle she envisioned. By the time the film premiered, Michelle again stole the spotlight, delivering monologues with such crystalline intention that viewers claimed she resonated like a conductor leading an unseen orchestra of emotion that in tandem with her artistic pursuits. Michelle deepened her commitment to philanthropy. She had long supported causes for mental health and literacy, but now she took on two additional passions: ocean conservation and film preservation. A close friend revealed that Michelle spent hours on fishing boats off the California coast, tagging endangered sharks to help researchers track migration patterns. She also threw herself into archiving early silent films, hosting private screenings for students, and meticulously restoring nitrate prints that were on the brink of disintegration. Those who participated spoke of Michelle's intense curiosity. She grilled archivists about chemical processes, debated the ethics of colorization, and tirelessly fundraised, all while managing her own schedule and maintaining the privacy she'd always guarded so fiercely. The image of Michelle in a dusty projection room, leaning close to an ancient reel, her face soft with wonder, captured the public imagination. It was a new, unexpected facet of the actress they thought they knew. Behind the scenes, Michelle's marriage to David E. Kelly remained a cornerstone of her life. Colleagues noted that while other stars chased publicity, Michelle and David thrived on normalcy. They hosted quiet dinners for a handful of friends, rode their favorite motorcycles along winding roads, and refused red carpet appearances that felt superficial. One longtime collaborator recounted calling Michelle on a Sunday afternoon to discuss a career-defining role, only to hear laughter in the background, David teaching their daughter to bake bread. When Michelle asked him to call back in an hour, she explained, "Sometimes the most creative thing I can do is show up for my family." That unwavering dedication to balance fueled her fearless performances. She remained grounded, unhurried by the exigencies of Hollywood hype or the ticking clock of aging. Yet even amid her self-cultivated calm, Michelle wasn't immune to the currents of change. She encountered a setback when an ambitious sci-fi epic she'd signed on to collapsed mid-production, leaving her character half-formed and the studio in disarray. Instead of retreating, Michelle transformed the disappointment into motivation. She used the unexpected gap to join an intimate off-Broadway play about an aging matron coping with past regrets, a role that required her to perform 8 shows a week and confront her own vulnerability in front of an audience. For someone accustomed to the controlled environment of film sets, the visceral immediacy of live theater was liberating and terrifying. Night after night, Michelle challenged herself to find fresh emotional stakes, improvising subtle changes and responding to the unpredictable energy of the crowd. Critics marveled at her bravery and stamina, noting that she moved across the dimly lit stage with the same magnetic pull that had once dominated cinema screens. When the production closed, she received a standing ovation that lasted so long it threatened to overshadow the play itself. But Michelle simply bowed, tears glistening, before walking backstage to embrace her fellow actors. The woman who only a decade earlier might never have dared to venture outside of film, as Michelle's second renaissance unfurled. She also embraced the digital frontier. Keen to engage a younger audience without sacrificing her privacy, she partnered with a tight-knit creative team to launch a short-form series on streaming platforms. Rather than a behind-the-scenes exposé or a reveal-driven docu-soap, Michelle opted for a quiet diary format. Brief, lyrical episodes capturing snapshots of her daily life. Morning shops for produce, late-night script readings by fireplace, impromptu concerts with jazz musicians she admired. The series became an unexpected hit, earning praise for its honesty, visual elegance, and the low-volume wisdom Michelle offered in gentle voiceover reflections. She spoke of the beauty in imperfection, the joy in small rituals, and the courage it takes to say no to projects that don't resonate. Viewers wrote in surging numbers to say how they looked forward to each 2-minute installment, drawn not by spectacle, but by the sense they were invited into a safe space of authenticity. Michelle's production partner called it the softest revolution in personal branding, and the series became a case study in how a star can navigate social media without being swallowed by it. But the most poignant chapter of this phase came when Michelle, ever the storyteller, decided to mentor a new generation of actors. She quietly began teaching masterclasses in acting technique and career longevity, insisting that no cameras be allowed and that attendees deposit their phones at the door. In a hushed warehouse filled with framed movie posters, she guided students through improvisational exercises, emphasized the power of silence in a scene, and dissected the anatomy of a breakthrough monologue. Former students have since described those afternoons as transformative. Michelle's calm intensity, her insistence on emotional honesty, and her unhurried feedback offered a roadmap for sustaining a career without losing one's essence. It was an extension of her own journey, a chance to pass forward the lessons learned from youth, fame, setbacks, and reinvention. As we look at Michelle Pfeiffer today, two truths stand out. She remains an actress of seismic talent, unafraid to challenge herself, and she has carved a life that honors both ambition and serenity. From the glittering stages of Cannes to the silent corridors of film archives, from the roar of a crime drama premiere to the hush of a black box theater, she has traversed worlds most stars only glimpse in passing. And through each phase, she has maintained a single core principle: to create, to connect, and to cherish every moment, on screen and off. If you thought Michelle Pfeiffer's story peaked in the 80s or 90s, think again. At 66, she isn't just coasting on past glories. She's sprinting toward the next horizon, arms wide open to the unknown, a living testament to the belief that a life lived fully is the greatest role an artist can play. Yet despite blazing trails on screens and stages around the world, Michelle Pfeiffer remains surprisingly reflective about the arc of her life and career. As she steps lightly into her late 60s, she admits that each new wrinkle and silver strand feels less like a concession to time and more like a testament to wisdom earned through a lifetime of choices. In rare interviews, she speaks of gratitude for failures that compelled her to dig deeper, for moments of doubt that forced reinvention, and for the gentle reminder that reinvention itself is a kind of self-care. She describes evening walks in the Hollywood Hills as her sanctuary, the city lights far below reminding her that every star, no matter how bright, burns within a vast sky. This serene perspective didn't arrive overnight, but through decades of listening to mentors, trusting her own instincts, and learning that sometimes saying nothing speaks volumes. Today, Michelle's schedule brims with projects that challenge expectations. She has signed on to star in a miniseries based on a true story of a female aviator who broke speed records in the 1940s, playing the role of her rival turned ally. The part demands long hours of flight simulation, training, archival research in dusty national libraries, and intense preparation to nail period accents without slipping into caricature. Industry insiders whisper that this performance could earn her one of the few Emmy Awards missing from her glittering shelf. At the same time, she's developing an original screenplay with a close collaborator, an intimate drama about a trio of sisters who reunite after decades apart. Rumor has it that she plans to direct, marking her feature directorial debut. These ambitions underscore her belief that creativity should never be boxed by age or genre, and that storytelling, whether through lens or ink, remains her truest calling. In parallel with her on-camera reemergence, Michelle has quietly expanded her influence behind the scenes. Partnering with emerging writers and directors, she co-founded a production banner known as Light Films, devoted to uplifting underrepresented voices. The company's first slate includes a horror anthology penned by a rising Latina screenwriter and a biopic about an overlooked jazz singer from the 1920s. Michelle serves as an executive producer, offering guidance on tone, character development, and historical accuracy. She insists on open dialogue, refusing to dominate rooms with star power. Instead, she listens, probes, and encourages her colleagues to trust their own perspectives. Gradually, Light has become a safe haven for storytellers who crave mentorship without interference, echoing the ethos Michelle embraced when she learned from directors like Jonathan Demme and Brian De Palma. Amid these creative ventures, the industry's admiration for Michelle has crystallized into formal recognition. Film societies have hosted retrospective festivals spotlighting her work from Scarface through Mark Felt, celebrating her chameleon-like ability to inhabit any role. At one such event, a packed theater erupted in applause when clips of her vulnerable monologue from Love Field played on the big screen. Festival organizers described the reaction as unprecedented, noting how younger audiences gasped to discover that the woman they associated with glamour was once a raw, emerging talent who risked everything to bring truth to a part. Michelle herself sat quietly in the balcony, tears glistening, as she witnessed her younger self's struggles and triumphs mirrored in the hushed theater. Those embracing moments demonstrate how her performances continue to resonate across generations. That cross-generational appeal extends beyond cinema. Michelle's influence as a style icon has inspired collaborations with fashion houses and beauty brands determined to capture her timeless elegance. Last year, she lent her name and creative insight to a sustainable cosmetics line featuring cruelty-free formulas and packaging made from recycled ocean plastics. Each product, from the rose-tinted lip cream to the SPF-infused foundation, reflects Michelle's commitment to authenticity, sustainability, and health. In interviews, she extols the importance of skincare routines evolved over decades rather than fads, emphasizing ingredients she trusts because they've nurtured her skin through sunlit shoots and midnight premieres. Customers report that wearing these products feels like donning a piece of Michelle's own confidence, a subtle reminder that beauty, like art, flourishes when crafted with intention over time. Even as she navigates glamorous red carpets and high-stakes production rooms, Michelle devotes herself to causes that transcend entertainment. She champions ocean protection through partnerships with marine biologists tagging whale sharks, ensuring that each swim is documented and analyzed. She sponsors community theater initiatives in underfunded schools, believing that exposure to performance arts can ignite lifelong passions. Her involvement is hands-on. She teaches annual workshops on monologue interpretation, donates personal costumes for student fundraisers, and mentors participants one-on-one. Oftentimes, she'll surprise a class by quietly sitting in the back row, offering feedback afterward over coffee. These gestures, while low-key, create ripple effects. Young artists who once feared industry doors now feel emboldened, knowing that a living legend took time to nurture their talents. Perhaps most startling of all is Michelle's recent foray into environmental architecture. She teamed up with a design collective to reimagine her family home in Ojai as a net-zero energy sanctuary. Solar glass panels blend into the roofline, rainwater harvesting systems irrigate drought-tolerant gardens, and passive cooling design eliminates reliance on air conditioning. The renovation, captured in a photo essay, prompted widespread media coverage. Viewers marveled at how a celebrity estate could model practical green living, not as an extravagance, but as a responsible blueprint for any homeowner. Michelle's focus isn't on grandeur. It's on responsible stewardship, proving that passion can drive both artistic creation and practical innovation. As you absorb these chapters of Michelle Pfeiffer's life, one theme emerges above all: intentionality. From early triumphs that masked a deep quest for authenticity, to mid-career pivots into producing and philanthropy, to a current era defined by conscious choices, every step reflects a woman attuned to her values and unafraid to evolve. She once said, "A career lasting decades isn't about sprinting faster than everyone else. It's about pacing yourself, knowing when to rest, and having the courage to turn toward new terrain." That wisdom resonates especially now, in an age defined by rush and overstimulation. Michelle's path invites viewers to pause, consider priorities, and seek their own balance of ambition and well-being. When you finally lay eyes on Michelle Pfeiffer at 66, prepare to be moved not only by her ageless radiance, but by the depth that informs every gesture, every line she speaks, and every choice she makes. She is living proof that true stars don't fade, they transform, illuminating new corners of art, life, and community. If you found inspiration in these pages, share this story with someone who values enduring talent and thoughtful living. And if you haven't yet pressed play on her latest work, now is the moment to dive in and witness the next chapter of a legend still writing her own script.